I don't usually call myself Mrs. Mayne. I go by Pamela, and my maiden name is Stockwell. I was born in 1956 in Eugene, Oregon. There's four siblings. My older brother, Mark, who has a master's and a bachelor's in mathematics. There's me, who has a bachelor's and a master's in mathematics. My brother, Brad, bachelor's and master's in mathematics. Are you seeing a pattern? My sister.
So tell me what the fourth one is. I can't tell.
Bachelor's and master's in mathematics. Yes. My dad had quite a bit of influence on us. He was, I would say, almost religious about his love for mathematics and also education and being prepared. And as a family, we moved around quite a bit. My dad worked as an engineer, and he changed jobs every 2 or 3 years. He would get interested in some other project. So let's see, I had kindergarten in Plymouth, Michigan, grades 1 through 3 in Thousand Oaks, California, 4 through 6 in Rhode Island, and junior high in Manlius, New York, and then high school and college and high school in Glide, Oregon, and college at Oregon State. And then I went to graduate school to Montana State, both getting a bachelor's and a master's in mathematics. And then after that, my first real job was as a systems analyst for Rockwell International. My very first assignment was working on improving the inertial navigation for intercontinental ballistic missiles. Did aircraft survivability and vulnerability assessments. Did that for, I don't know, five years. And then I met John. We met at a bridge tournament in San Diego. So we both were already avid bridge players and doing on the tournament circuit. So we got married, and I got a really nice job in Goleta, which is just outside of Santa Barbara. And that's where we went for the first 4 years of our marriage. And there, I still did, I sort of switched to a very niche field of doing modeling and simulation verification, validation, and accreditation. That's a lot of words. But basically, I was commuting to Washington, D.C. all the time. And it sounds fun, and it kind of is at first, but traveling for work is so much different than traveling for fun. So I thought, oh, how hard can teaching be? And so then I started teaching middle school math, as you know.
Yes.
So I did that for 17 years, and then I just retired at the end of last school year. Both John, my husband, and my mother suckered me into going to middle school, because both of them said that middle school is a real turning point for kids, and that you could do the most good there. So I thought, well, it will be a lot less money, but I'll be able to put some roots down in the community and get to know people where I live. And I kind of tested it out by becoming a sub, and I ended up getting a long-term sub in Valley Home. It's a tiny little elementary school that goes to the 8th grade. And the entire 7th and 8th grade, there was like 17 kids. And so that's what I did. I just long-term sub, and I taught all the math classes for 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. And I would teach them in the cafeteria. They rolled in a chalkboard for me.
Oh
And
my.
so these kids, there were so few of them, and they worked so hard. They did everything I asked them to do, and we had great conversations. And the parents came and said, "Oh, our kids, you've really made a huge impact," and they're talking about colleges, and it's just so great. And I just was overcome with all of the affection and acceptance. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I could do this. And I thought, oh, I have all this math experience. The material is going to be really easy for me to teach. I've taught adults a lot of things. I feel like I can explain things clearly. So I thought, oh, I was just going to be this amazing teacher that all the kids were going to love, because I thought the only reason they didn't like math is because no one taught it well. And then I learned that I was a terrible teacher, and that the key was not to know what you were talking about, but to be entertaining and likable. And I wasn't expecting them to not want to learn. That was a surprise to me. And I don't think I was very successful with the ones that didn't want to learn, because I wasn't that, you know, kind of entertaining person. I wasn't expecting the level of defiance, because when I was growing up, it was completely different philosophy on children and adults. Children had no rights when I was growing up. And if a teacher complained and called home, you would usually get in way more trouble at home than you would at school. And so it really, people behaved a lot differently, and you were taught to respect, you know, adults and things like that. And I don't, there are still families that do teach those values, but there's a surprising number that don't. And there's a surprising number of parents that want to make so many far-fetched excuses for their child, and sort of game the system rather than really let their child learn and become self-sufficient and confident, I think. But so those were the surprises, I guess, the behavior and the unwillingness to learn something. I struggled with it, and I felt as a teacher that I was kind of highs and lows. I think some of the avenues I offered, like the robotics and the math club and things like that, I thought were very positive and had a positive impact on students, which is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
There were definitely moments in the classroom where, some kid would go, "Oh, I get that now," or, I mean, there was definitely a lot of good moments in the classroom too, where I did feel like I provided help for them. And a little thing I had, I used to do the Pie for a Pie contest, where you do the pointless activity of memorizing the digits. And I had a student, Mary was her first name, and she was kind of a D student, and or had been. And then we did the contest, and she put her mind to it, and she won the pie. And that just turned it around, and she started doing well, and she finished the year with a B. And then later I heard from another teacher that she had said, oh, that I was her favorite teacher. And I didn't realize that she'd just come to the country and she didn't have many friends and she was feeling very, you know, different from everyone. And it just made her feel good. So little things like that just make you feel really good. But but there were you know, it was a struggle with the it's a difficult age. And so I just didn't handle that as well as I would have liked to, I guess. As a young person growing up, I always envisioned myself being a mother. But when John and I got married, I was 40 years old. So we didn't not try, but it just, you know, sort of missed my window of opportunity there. And so you know, we have a good life, and you know, sometimes I feel sad about it. But I would say that middle school made me feel a lot better. But so, yeah, so that's just kind of the way it works out. And interestingly, as an old person, now when I'm taking care, or helping to take care of my siblings and I, with my mother, who's 92, and she can't do for herself anymore. And so fortunately, my brother lives 5 minutes away from her and is handling all of her finances, and we've got caregivers, and he organizes their schedules and makes sure there's coverage, and there's just a lot to do, talks to the physician and so forth, and handles the medical insurance. And it's hard, and elderly people can get befuddled and are vulnerable. And so that is something that now as an old person I think about. I'll be vulnerable and sort of relying on the kindness of strangers. And that's can be stressful. I'm sure, you know, everything's going to be fine. I am rooting for robots that take care of you.